A perfect night, a single drink, and that embarrassing video that will live on the internet forever. For previous generations, a hangover simply meant a headache. But for Generation Z, it has become an existential crisis. We live under digital surveillance. Every phone is a camera, every mistake is content. Gallup data is striking. Alcohol consumption among adults aged 18 to 34 has dropped from 72% to 50% in just 20 years. So, what changed? Is this merely a health trend or a survival response from our brains and our economy? Close the bottle, because this is the story of a generation redefining not just drinking, but its identity. Numbers don't lie. As of 2025, 65% of Generation Z plans to reduce alcohol consumption. That's more than double the rate of the boomer generation. In fact, 1 in 5 young people has already chosen a completely sober lifestyle. In 1991, 64% of high school seniors had experienced drunkenness. Today, that number has dropped to 33%. Experts call this the bedroom generation. Young people now socialize not in bars, but in digital spaces, where alcohol has an increasingly smaller role. The biggest enemy pushing Generation Z away from alcohol is Hangxiety, post-alcohol anxiety. 78% of Gen Z consumers experience this nightmare every week. The scientific explanation is simple. Alcohol initially relaxes the brain by increasing GABA, but when the body clears the alcohol, the brain panics and releases stress chemicals like glutamate. The result? Heart palpitations, deep feelings of guilt, and an emotional wreckage that can last 2 to 3 days. In an era where anxiety rates are already at their peak, no one wants to buy 3 days of mental torture for a few hours of temporary fun. The second reason is digital reputation. 49% of Generation Z say that when they go out, their online image is always on their mind. The fear that a drunk and vulnerable moment could end up on TikTok has turned sobriety into a symbol of power. And then there's the economy. Young people's disposable income has declined dramatically compared to previous generations. In the past, a young person spent 1.1% of their income on alcohol. Today, that figure has fallen to 0.74%. In short, they don't want to embarrass themselves and they don't feel wealthy enough to spend $15 on a cocktail. So, are these young people not having fun at all? On the contrary, a massive $1.2 trillion non-alcoholic beverage market has emerged. At bars, we no longer want just a cola. We're looking for sophisticated blends infused with stress-reducing adaptogens, focus-enhancing botanical extracts, or CBD. From New York to London, sober bars that serve only non-alcoholic drinks are thriving. The Sober Talk community markets sobriety not as a limitation, but as a superpower. Generation Z is teaching us something. You don't need to numb yourself to form real connections. They are choosing to be present instead of losing control. Alcohol's old, dusty throne is beginning to shake. Perhaps in the future our celebrations will be clearer and our mornings more peaceful. Because now we know, the greatest fun is the fun you remember the next morning. And you? Will you fill that glass this weekend or choose clarity instead?